Hey learners and creators, today I've got a video for you about 6 books to become more creative, plus a bonus, so make sure you stay to the end. It's a book that I haven't quite read yet, but I'm very interested in and feel that it would be great for people who are creating stuff. So let's get straight into the video. Now, I assume that you're watching this video because you are interested in becoming a better creator. So I've compiled this list of books throughout the many years that I've been reading nonfiction books. Creativity is a topic that really interests me as a teacher and a creator. So I believe that if you are either of those, or if you're an artist, or if you're social media marketing, or basically if you're creating anything, whether it's writing or art or music or anything like that, these books will definitely help you out. So if you're not subscribed to this channel already, go ahead and subscribe, definitely, to support, and then share this video after skipping through maybe some of the chapters in this video. I'll go ahead and put those down below, so check those out. If one of the books interests you more than the others, then feel free and go through the video as you wish. I do not want to keep you waiting, so let's get into the first book. This is The Creative Curve by Gannett. Subtitle is How to Develop the Right Idea at the Right Time. So I feel like this is a really good book for creators because it helps you to understand creativity. It helps you understand how ideas basically spread. It uses a lot of examples in music and writing. The one that I recall off the top of my head is from the Beatles, and it shows you how ideas are created in the mind, not just instantaneously, but over time, through experience, through exposure to different materials, through reading, through listening, and all these ideas compile and build upon each other, especially if you're an organized person and you take notes and you save your ideas for later. That way you can build upon those ideas. So basically, you're looking for patterns and trends in the market, and you're trying to find the sweet spot between familiar and novel. That's another great idea from this book, is to create something new, to create something interesting. It cannot be the same as what has come before it. Parts of it must be a bit familiar, so some of it may be a little bit the same, and then other parts will be new in some way. And I think that newness probably comes from your individuality, because every single one of us is a unique person. And so through our own creativity, we can add our own twists to the creations that we put together, the products, the writing, the videos, the art, the way that we teach, the way we carry out our training sessions. This applies to basically anything that we do. As we add our own creative uniqueness, our own individuality, our creations can become quite unique. And if we're following these, not trends, but if we are like analyzing the trends, we can jump into something that can really take off quickly. The title of this book is also quite catchy, The Creative Curve, and it's on purpose because it's got the laws of the creative curve, which is consumption. So that's when we're reading through stuff, we're watching stuff, we're learning about things, and then we might try to do something ourselves, which is called imitation in the book. So we're maybe imitating some things that we've seen before, and then join creative communities, which is the next one on the list here. So we cannot do things alone. We need to know people who are in the field. We need to know the gatekeepers, and we need to be able to find our way through the third door to get noticed. So in order to do that, we also need to know people in the creative communities. And then the last one is iteration. So of course, we need to make it unique and novel, familiar and novel at the same time. So that is basically the creative curve. Another great thing that I can remember from this book is it kind of breaks the myths of creativity, like the eureka moment. Obviously, we do have eureka moments, but it's not just out of nowhere. We need to have our experiences. It also breaks the 10,000 hour rule. This came from a study about a violinist, and obviously practicing deliberate practice with the violin is not going to be the same as maybe computer science or coding or writing a book, right? All of these fields are different. So 10,000 hours worth of study and work and production it's not going to be the same for every single field. So this book explains that theory quite well. And yeah, you probably have heard of it before. So just because you do 10,000 hours worth of something doesn't mean that you're going to be an expert at it or that you're going to be the best at it, right? So you got to put in the work. You got to look at the ideas and the trends. You got to create something familiar and novel. Those are the main ideas from this book. Number 2 on the list is The Hidden Habits of Genius by Craig Wright, PhD. Beyond Talent, IQ, and Grit, Unlocking the Secrets of Greatness. This is probably one of my top 5 books ever. The first thing that really stood out about this book to me, right at the beginning of the book, it gives you a great definition of what it means to be a genius. So here it is on page 6. A genius is a person of extraordinary mental powers whose original works or insights change society in some significant way for good or for ill across cultures and across time. So if you think about all the geniuses in the past, the things that they've done, whether it's good or bad, they've always been a bit life-changing. Now, the scale could be a little bit different for each person. A person in the community can affect all of those people in the community. It may not be a worldwide thing. That person can still be. Another great thing, straight away, it breaks kind of the myth of prodigies and talent. So sometimes we mistake prodigies as people who are geniuses, who are really creative, but oftentimes prodigies are just imitating what has come before them, and they imitate so well that you think, oh wow, they are so amazing. But they're not creating something original and new and life-changing. They're just very good. Now some, of course, go on to be geniuses and very, very creative. So that's not necessarily always true that they don't, but a lot of the time it may possibly be that they just kind of fall off the deep end, you know? There's a couple other takeaways that I would like to share with you from this book that I thought were amazing for people who want to be more creative. So one of them is don't seek constant approval, double down on your strengths and use pain to draw out your creative juices. That, I believe, like it also mentions somewhere, like a lot of creative people come from the middle class or even below, like people who are in poverty. And one of the biggest reasons for that is that they are going through pain. People who experience painful things seek out solutions to those things that they've experienced because they don't want other people to go through the same thing. So therefore, they will do anything. There's like a relentless curiosity and a relentless determination to solve that problem, and therefore they create something that solves that problem. They go to the lengths, to the end of the earth to solve that problem. And so if you're in the wealthy class, of course you can still, if you have a lot of money and you were born with that and you lived a privileged life, you can still, of course, experience pain, for one, and still, of course, you can be a creative person because money, as it mentions in the book as well, is a very useful resource to develop your creativity. As some courses and some activities can be quite spendy if you want to build upon your creativity. And then another thing here is the way to learn is not to be taught, but to be curious. And in order to be curious or a genius, you must exercise your curiosity through experiential learning. You actually need to get out there and do the thing. You need to create, not just sit in your office and read or sit wherever is most comfortable and read. You must actually implement. If you want to become one of the best authors, you need to write your heart out. If you want to become the best artist, you need to create your art. If you want to be the best at anything, you must create and actually get out there and do it. All right, next one on the list is The Creative Act, A Way of Being by Rick Rubin. I listened to this one on audiobook and I loved it so much that I had to pick up a copy. One of my favorite books also last year, along with the previous book. So if you want to watch my top 10, there you go, right up there. Take a look at that one. So The Creative Act is just, you get a sense of calm from, especially if you listen to the audiobook, you get a sense of calm from listening to Rick Rubin's voice. It's just so deep, low, relaxing, and his way of talking and writing and the way that he created this book is very creative. That's one of the biggest takeaways that I got from that, or just one of the sense that I got from this book. Another one is create something you love. Create for yourself, because if you do not create for yourself, you're not going to love that product. You're not going to love that thing. You need to love that thing. Not completely. It doesn't have to be perfect, but you do have to love what you're doing in order for people who also love what you create to love it, if that makes sense. So basically, create for yourself. Also, be aware that creativity is all around you. Even when the sun is not shining and the clouds are covering everything, it's really dark. Just realize that the sun is still out there. It's still behind the clouds, even if you cannot see it. Kind of a quote from the book here. It's like putting yourself in the mindset of creativity. Putting yourself in the mindset of creativity and then going with that flow, not forcing yourself, but going with that flow. I know it kind of sounds fluffy and like there's those types of books out there that don't really have solid scientific fact. This doesn't necessarily have solid scientific fact, but it has worked for so many creatives out there that yes, if you put yourself in that mindset, you will be able to experience the creativity, especially if you've learned and observed and connected all your ideas together, so that way you can create something great, something familiar and novel at the same time. Then boom, it's working for you, right? All right, and here's another one. Rules are only helpful if they help you get where you need to be. Provide structure as well. Otherwise, if they don't help you and the structure is not working for you, then you might as well break the rules, right? Rules are meant to be broken, but rules are also there to help you, provide you a structure. And it goes back to the creative curve, where rules are there for familiarity, and then you break those rules by adding your own twist to it. So all these ideas are kind of connecting through these books about creativity and creation. Okay, another one. Don't doubt yourself, only doubt your work, so you can approach it in a different way. You're not judging yourself. If you judge yourself, you feel bad about what you've done, that's not going to help you create. So judge your work, not the things that not you yourself, but judge the work and then approach the work in a different way. That way you can not feel so bad and you can get the job done. And the last one here is finish all the way through before going back to edit. I love this one because I got in the bad habit of when I was writing things, writing my book or blog posts or whatever it may be, I would often write a paragraph or two or three or a chapter or whatever, and then I would go back and I would try to edit that before writing the next thing. And it kept on preventing me from completing the work. So now with my new projects, I just go all the way through to completion, and then I can go back. I can edit and I can refine, delete, add where need be, and make it much better than maybe the first approach, or maybe even the first approach is the best. Who knows? Better you have an imperfect complete project than a perfect incomplete project. All right, so I know this video is all about creativity, how to become a better creator. And I know this is a biography, Leonardo da Vinci by Walter Isaacson, but this is probably one of the most creative people that have ever existed. There have been a lot of creative people, of course. I'm not doubting the others, but for sure, this guy had a method of really creating many great things, works of arts, machines, theories, and all that turn out to be true, and people didn't find out or see that these things were true until hundreds of years later. So this guy was truly an amazing person that we've ever had on the earth, and we have notes and artifacts and creations to prove his creativity through all the notebooks and creations that he's done. So there are many takeaways that I got from Leonardo da Vinci by Walter Isaacson, but I'm only going to name a few, the top ones that I think are most relevant to creativity. So the first one is relentless curiosity. Always trying to learn new things, going out there, experimenting, asking other people questions, other people who are more knowledgeable in the field, actually conversing, not just reading. Because when you have a conversation with someone, it's a different experience than if you're reading an ancient text that's already 50 or 100 or 1,000 years old, right? You still get value from those things, but having conversations and collaborating with others is one of the habits, or a couple of the habits, that Leonardo da Vinci had. And how do we know that he had these things? Well, he took notes on paper. He took notes on paper. There's notebooks, hundreds of notebooks that he left behind. So we have that proof. So I believe that this is also another great habit of creativity and genius, is jotting down all your ideas. If you're an artist, you can draw. If you're a writer, you can write. If you are a teacher, you can write all of your ideas down. If you're an entrepreneur, you own a bunch of businesses, you can write all of your ideas down. Once you write all of your ideas down on paper, you can do it digitally too, but on paper is the original way of doing it, right? So once you write it down, it's permanent. It's there forever. Of course, until it gets destroyed or whatever by fire or flood or whatever it may be, but it's there forever if you keep it in good condition. Therefore, writing ideas down is one of the best ways to go back to your notes and see what you've done and see how you can improve and reflect and get better and better and better. Okay, so another thing here is retain a childlike wonder about everything. You notice that children like to ask questions. So ask questions, things that you're curious about. If you don't ask the question, then you're probably not going to seek the answer. And I always tell my students, see, the right question will lead you to the right answer, or at least lead you to more answers that maybe you need to seek out more information. So asking questions is one of the best ways. Having that relentless curiosity like a child is one of the best ways to dig deeper, and then go down rabbit holes would be the next one here. So once you dig deeper, you keep on digging deeper, and you keep on learning, and you take those notes, and then you go out and you experiment, see what works and see what fails, and then improve upon that. Okay, so I covered over all of them, but kind of jumbled up here, so I'll just repeat them. Relentless curiosity is one. Retain a childlike wonder is another. Go down rabbit holes is another. Take notes on paper is another. And collaborate is another. There's tons more. So I highly recommend checking out that book. So that way you can dig deeper into the life of one of the most amazing people we've ever had on Earth. All right, next up on our list here is How to Take Smart Notes by Zonk Arens. One simple technique to boost your writing, learning, and thinking for students, academics, and nonfiction book writers. The subtitle here is a bit,
well, not misleading. It is written for these people.
But I would have to say that it can be applied to all types of creatives and all types of people, teachers, business people, artists, anyone who wants to organize their ideas so that way they can produce and create. All right, so the idea from this book comes from Zettelkasten by Nicholas Luhmann from quite some time ago, maybe 1970s if I'm not mistaken. And basically this is a great way to organize the notes that you take, linking your notes and ideas together continuously. More recently, people have been using digital applications such as Remnote, Roam Research, Notion, Obsidian. There's tons of popular ones out there that you can definitely check out. I personally use digital note-taking as to try and keep a slip box, as Zettelkasten translated into English means. A bunch of filing cabinets with a bunch of note cards would be quite cumbersome. Although I do love handwriting, writing by hand and all that stuff. I keep some notes by hand, but notes from books and ideas I keep digitally in my own digital slip box. So the great thing that I really love about this is it's a great way to elaborate and organize your idea in a way that connects all of your ideas together. So if you read an idea about creativity in Leonardo da Vinci, and then you read another idea about creativity in How to Take Smart Notes, the ideas connect together in your slip box. And that works well in digital form because when you search for that particular term, or when you manually link the ideas together in the application, you can easily find it. So if you forgot about it 5 years from now, but you go into that application and search for that term, those notes that you took in your own words will pop up. And then if you're writing a book on that particular topic or something like that, or you're creating a business plan or a lesson for your class or whatever it may be, whatever you can think of, it will pop up there and you have access to it. So I love this idea of continuous elaboration as well. So your Zettelkasten, your program, whatever you're using, it will just continue growing as you continue to use it. And of course, organize it in a way that you can easily access the ideas and use those ideas. They all have to be relevant to what you're actually doing or what you're researching. Because if you're putting notes in your second brain, as we call it, if you're putting notes in there that are irrelevant to your life, then what's the purpose of putting them in there? They won't have a purpose. They'll sit there and clutter up your notes. So a good way to do that is maybe to put them into an archive or something, right? To make sure that they're not there sitting center, or just make sure that they're in a category. That way, if you do need to reach that idea again, you can easily reach into or search or pull up the document, or wherever you're keeping it in your notes, you can pull that idea up again. So the whole purpose of having a Zettelkasten is basically you are building up upon the notes that you've already taken. You're using that as a source of ideation, building upon your work and other people's work. You're synthesizing that information into a coherent narrative, if it's for writing, or coherent business plan, coherent lesson plan, coherent whatever it may be, synthesizing all of these ideas that you've put into your notes in your own words and creating something from it. So it may not take you years upon years to write your book or to create your online course, because you've already taken the years or months of study and learning and organizing your ideas and then synthesizing it. So it will cut down a whole lot of time when you're trying to create something, because you're already dipping into what you've already created. So it's a great way of doing that. That would be the whole purpose of keeping Zettelkasten. All right, and for the last book before the bonus, we've got Building a Second Brain by Tiago Forte, a proven method to organize your digital life and unlock your creative potential. Now, I could do with or without this book. This is kind of a supplemental book to how to take smart notes. It, of course, focuses on the digital way of taking notes. And Tiago Forte has kind of come up with like a creative idea or his own packaging for the Zettelkasten. So here it is right here. It's adapted from the Zettelkasten. You use the code method, which is capture relevant information. As you notice in the last part, I said every note in your Zettelkasten should be relevant. It should be something to do with your life right now or in the near future. We're not focusing on the past, right? Something right now or in the near future. Now in 5 years or 10 years from now, maybe the notes that you're taking now are going to be irrelevant to you. And that's okay, because our life does change over time. So if those notes do become irrelevant, you can always still store them. It's important to keep them, because who knows, you may still need them in the future. And that's what Tiago Forte calls the archive, which we'll get into in just a second. So capture, organize is the second one. So that's putting it into para, which stands for projects, areas, resources, and archive, which I just mentioned a second ago. So projects is one that I definitely use. Anything that I've got going on in my life, I will organize the notes into a particular area that deals with what I am doing at this moment. So like, for example, I'm writing a book. So any notes and ideas about that book will go into a particular project category. And if I'm working on other ideas or other things like YouTube videos or newsletters or anything like that, that will go into a different category in the project. So you have like basically a folder where all and everything about that project will go in there. Then you've got the areas, which is like areas of your life, finances, health, relationships. If you're taking notes about that and you're organizing your ideas for that, then it will go in there. And then resources are maybe research ideas that you might organize in there. And then archive is everything that you have done in the past that is kind of irrelevant to your life right now. So you put that into that archive category. The next part in code is distill, which is basically progressive summarization. To take all the main parts of your notes and then take the main parts of the main parts of your notes. That's progressive summarization. So you want to distill, or you want to get the essence of whatever your ideas are about a particular topic or project and summarize it. That way you can maybe put it up at the top of your document or whatever it is that you're using to keep your notes. If you can read through that progressive summary, then you'll understand exactly what's going to be inside the notes there. And the last one is express. Take action. That's the most important part. Take action on what you've captured, what you've organized, what you've distilled, and then you share what you've created in the end product, right? So basically, this is just another way of organizing your ideas. I felt like including this book in this list because maybe certain ways of organizing works better than other ways, right? For some people, it may work better. For some people, it may work worse. It may not work at all. So it's more of I'm offering this book. That way you can read it and discover for yourself whether it's actually worthy of following this code method of para as well, like organizing your ideas into projects, areas, and resources and archive, right? So take it or leave it. I felt like also including it because the Zettelkasten is definitely designed for very, very analytical thinkers. If you want it to be simplified or just basically another way of organizing, then check out Building a Second Brain by Tiago Forte. All right, time for the bonus, everyone. Bonus here is Writing to Learn by William Zenser, famous author of On Writing Well. And I mean, I haven't read this book yet, but what I do know about the topic of writing to learn is that writing is a key component of being creative, or at least being organized. And like I said earlier, when you write ideas down on paper, it's permanent. Those ideas are there to stay. You can refer to those ideas again and again and again if you need to, for either you need to refresh your memory or you need to build upon those ideas. Once you write them down, you have them forever. If you keep them up here, you may forget because our brain is not perfect. So I feel like writing to learn, or writing is a great way to learn, basically. So thinking on paper, it's a permanent evidence. That's one of the biggest reasons why I want to check this out. I don't know whether it will be a book that I recommend yet, obviously, because I haven't read it yet. But from the reviews that I've read online, I feel like this could be a great resource, at least, especially for people who love to write. All right, so that comes down to the end of the video. I want to do kind of a little recap, or not necessarily a recap, but the top 4 things that I think creatives need to do to become better are relentless curiosity and drive. We got that idea from The Hidden Habits of Genius and Leonardo da Vinci, and also from some of the other books, The Creative Curve. So it's a very common habit that creative people need to have. Imagine a creative person without drive, without curiosity. Will they make progress? No, because they won't be doing anything. They won't have that drive. They won't create. So, having the creative drive is very important. Number 2, create for yourself first. Create for yourself. If you love what you create, then there are bound to be other people who are similar to you that will also love what you create. This is a really good one, okay? All right, and then next is make connections and follow through. See your work through to completion. Connect ideas together. Build upon those ideas. And see your way to completion of that project before you go back and edit. And then number 4 is write. Write your ideas. They become permanent once you write them down. You can write them down on paper, you can write them down digitally, but basically you're thinking on paper. You're expressing your ideas, you're getting them out. Once you get them on paper, you can then sort those ideas out, reflect on those ideas, and then build on those ideas. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope it was helpful. I hope that you're able to create whatever it is that you're creating whatever profession you're in. Create something great for others to love what you love. Let's do it. All right, thank you. Make sure you're subscribed, and I'll see you in the next video.